And the city has said that without our recommendation, they are going to make their own decision about whether or not they're going to move forward on this and spend this money. So we have the choice to have our voice heard or say nothing. Sorry, we're not interested in spending any money whatsoever.
I didn't say that at all, Tom.
No, I know you didn't. I'm just answering your question about how they said how much money they were willing to spend. That's all we know is what's written here is 1.75 million.
No, that's not what my question was how much was the city willing to give us, not what the estimate was for this. And your answer is no, we don't know how much the city is going to give us.
That's right.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
And to spend $1.7 million on decorative stuff when there's problems to be solved on the boardwalk, I think is...
Hopefully we're going to get to that. We got 20 minutes. So, what about the
Do you want
motion?
me to reread it for everyone?
No, I think we've got it.
I think
So-
maybe I should reread it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, reread it, please.
This is, I just sharpened it up a little. We didn't read. The Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommends that the VMC not support the additional use of steel and concrete bollards on Oceanfront Walk and support the use of functional or artistic obstructions that should include welcome archways, bike racks, statues, art, monuments, and concrete seating areas. These items should be placed close enough to block vehicles but far enough apart to allow pedestrian, wheelchair access, and delivery access on all streets with access to Oceanfront Walk except Navy, Rose, Brooks, Market, 18th Avenue, Venice Boulevard, and Washington Boulevard.
I think you just have to change one word, and that is from will include to may include the following items. If you say will include, that means that every street is going to have a welcome arch, a structure, a seating area, and so on and so forth.
Improvements such as...
Savon, is that okay if we change the word will to may?
I think that's great.
Should include? So
May include.
May include.
That I just
Functional
wanted.
obstructions may
Got
include.
it.
Okay, so
We need a second.
let's vote on the motion.
Bob did it, who seconds the motion? I'll second it.
All those in favor of the motion, raise their hands and say aye. Aye. The count, please.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All those opposed to the motion, raise their hands and say nay. All those abstaining?
1, 2, 3. So it's 9, 0, 2.
Eight.
Eight, zero, two.
8 in favor.
No, it was 8. It was also,
8
Can we just get comment?
Thank you. We got to move on. We got 20 minutes to cover bathrooms and everything. I also wanted to include temporary. I wasn't going to mention it. Temporary traffic control and safety measures have already been. Those are things that have already been installed. But Melissa made the point that we should consider making a motion to remove the horrible plastic bollards that are there. So if you've got a public comment, please make it very quickly. This is if you are in favor of removing or you're in favor of not removing the plastic bollards that exist. Any public comment on that? For it. Anybody else? Great. Anybody on the board want to discuss it, or is it a simple yes or no? Savon, go ahead.
I just have one thing. The previous motion addresses everything east-west. Nothing addresses the streets that are open north-south. What we may consider possibly is if we're trying to keep in line with putting some kind of deterrent for vehicles to get access to the parts we don't want them on, should we remove them everywhere going east-west and maybe leave them in place where they go north-south at parking lots?
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion in favor of removing the bollards?
I would.
Okay.
I would, the Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety and Visitor Impact Committee recommend to not support or to
Well, no, it's not on there already, so it's to remove.
the existing temporary bollards on Oceanfront Walk.
Anybody second that motion?
I said.
All in favor of the motion to remove the bollards, raise your hand. Say aye. The count, please.
Slowly, I'll take them.
How much is this one? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All those opposed to removing the bollards, raise your hand and say nay.
Thank you.
1,
1.
I mean, it's gonna cost how much?
All those,
This is so ridiculous.
abstaining?
It costs to put it in now.
Anyone abstaining? Okay. Well,
eight to 0.
Motion, if I may, that we make a motion that they remove the in, road closed, do not enter signs that we find unattractive, and replace them with more welcoming signs indicating welcome to Venice Beach and pedestrians only, no vehicles.
Okay, so this is a motion that's specifically regarding the possible removal of some of the existing signs or all of the existing signs and creating new signage. Is that correct? Welcoming, but also informational signs.
Welcoming and
Not
informational.
welcome park here, but welcome turn left for the beach park. I mean, it can't just be welcome, they also need to be informational in terms of where to park and how to get where you're going, right?
The Ocean for Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommends to remove the dead end, road closed, do not enter signs and replace them with welcome to Venice Beach, pedestrian only, and directional signs regarding parking where appropriate, i.e. speedway.
Okay, public comment?
Someone have to second.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a second on the motion. Thank you, Joseph. Public comment?
Yeah, a couple things. There are a bunch of private parking lots along Speedway, which is why when you put up, they're going to be against you putting up signs saying, go to our competitors down the block that the county gets a bigger cut of. So that's an issue, number one. Number two, I think maybe you might want to check on like Robert's rules. There's a couple different rules of order. Speak specifically to the role of chair as opposed to, steering the conversation. Also, I think it's something that really ought to be looked at, which the city has not so far, is that you can ride a bike on every sidewalk in the city of LA, but not the oceanfront walk. And most of the time, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to, and should be under the same rules, which is you're not allowed to endanger people. So the idea that it's only people walking down there should be rethought, because it's really retrograde. It goes back to a time when people rode 10-foot tall bikes with big wheels.
Any other public comment? Okay, let's hear from the board. This we can go out of order. Anybody who wants to make a comment on the motion as written? Okay, let's vote on the motion. All those in favor of the motion as written, raise your hand and say aye.
10. Bingo. Unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so it looks like we're not going to get to the other items, sadly, tonight, but we'll get through these last two. Is there any reason why we can't stay over a little bit?
Well, I think they closed. Let me go check.
Okay, so while she's checking, let's go to security cameras and public address system. So I'll read what's written here. The RAP, the Recreation Parks, is still obtaining information on the issues associated with cameras and public address system. We're in communication with the Information Technology Agency regarding the infrastructure needed to handle the data from the cameras. We have met and discussed the system and its use with the LAPD and are currently engaged with the city vendor to determine the specifications LAPD is requesting. We anticipate being able to finalize the system specifications with ITA and LAPD within the next 2 weeks. Public comment on security cameras and public address system. Go ahead.
Totally against public security cameras on public property. There's something called the panopticon. It was created in, I think, the late 19th century, and it was designed for a prison. And And we are not a police state yet officially, though certainly the revisions on Houston versus Hill and the requirements for identification in all areas certainly bring that into question. And the fact that they've got Israeli software that matches your face up against databases so that you can be tracked everywhere you go is a chilling of free speech and free association. And it's intolerable anywhere in our society, but certainly not in a place where everyone is welcome like the boardwalk.
Any other public comments on the use of security cameras in the public address system?
Yeah, I think the security cameras are intrusive, very intrusive, and I think they violate our civil rights. And I don't see any reason for a public address system that's like bizarre. Who would be on there going, okay, somebody's driving down the boardwalk, watch out! Like, what are these 3A systems supposed to be for? I don't get it.
Crowd
Like,
control.
Tsunami warning.
Tsunami warning, you have a siren, you don't need a public address system. I lived in Hawaii for many years, and that's what they have there, and it works very efficiently. Everybody knows when they hear those signs, they leave and they go to higher ground.
Yep.
You don't need a public address system. What?
The siren.
Okay.
But
opposed
they're
to
talking
a
about a
microphone.
system where they're talking and
Tsunami
talking, telling
warning.
people.
It's like
But
Any other public comment on security cameras in the public address system? Okay, any board comments on security cameras in public address system? Does anybody want to make a motion in that regard?
I have the motion.
But before you do, Daniel?
I just wanted to say that, security cameras are primarily used when there's been a crime to see who did it. They don't have the time or resources to watch people.
Sure.
That's the only reason they're used. So essentially, that's why.
being an occupied Venice member, I know that's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the crime occurs, they say they're not watching the camera, but the NSA gets a real time feed.
Okay, so,
What
world you live in, man?
all right, I'm gonna
Dr. King, come on, what world you live in, man?
more discussion right now.
Stop.
Excuse me 1 second, please. So, I want to make a comment on security cameras in public address system. As far as security cameras go, security cameras are already in existence, right? So they're already out there, pretty much everywhere. If you watch the Boston bombing, there were security cameras all over the place. So those already exist. And so it's not a question of whether or not there should be security cameras or not. There already are security cameras. The question is, do they serve any use as per LAPD or any other governmental agency? That to me is the question, not should security cameras exist or not. So since they already do, I have a whole different, I'm going to finish my thought. I have a whole different vision of what a camera system could look like on the boardwalk. I envision all these cameras that are already there linked together to a website that anybody could access. In the free society that we live in, anybody from around the world could go to this website called, VeniceBeachLive.com and watch what's happening on the Venice boardwalk. And whether you're in Germany or Hawaii or in anywhere around the planet. So I think we may need to think outside the box of just security cameras as Big Brother watching. However, having said that, I'm not prepared to, vote anything in this realm up or down as it's written in this, as it's written here. Any other comments on the security cameras or public address system from the board? Sivan, you had said you wanted to make a motion?
Sure. The committees, the three, recommend that the VNC not support the use of security cameras on the boardwalk, but support the use of a public address system for emergency and evacuation information only.
Does anybody know where the nearest sirens are located?
No advertising.
Honolulu?
Yeah.
Right here.
Really?
They're not
I'm asking.
Trust me, your chances of getting hit by a tsunami in Venice are zero. Zero. There's islands and points offshore. It never happens.
Sivan, do you know if there's any sirens currently located in Venice?
No.
None operational, no.
There have been, over the years, they've asked them to test them for years, but I can't remember where it was. Somewhere near the pier, but I haven't heard it in years and years and years.
Does anybody want to second Savon's motion to not support security cameras, but to support a public address system?
Yeah, not support cameras, but support the use of a public address.
Do I hear a second?
How about splitting the question?
Could you be more specific?
Split the question. We don't support cameras. Voted for or against. Do we support a public address system? Vote for or against.
Do I hear anybody second security camera,
Split the
not
question.
supporting security cameras and support a public address system?
What does it mean?
So there's no second on the motion.
And there was more, I want to make sure that the rest was added to the motion for the public address system. For use in emergency and evacuation, to direct emergencies and evacuation information only.
So you want to create a second motion, which is specifically
No,
regarding.
I just want to make sure that the first thing I said, we got the end part. So the PA system is only for emergencies and evacuation. Which I think I said, but I don't know, Melissa, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't hear a second.
Second, so
Okay, so moving on to lighting upgrade. This is the final
We
item.
had a second.
Wait, it was seconded, but.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, you gotta speak
I
up.
mean, if we're
Sorry.
talking about it, is that, I mean, do you want it split? I'm seeing people react. Okay, all right, so we'll split it and we'll do two motions. One motion is the joint committee's request or recommend the VNC not support the use of security cameras on the boardwalk. One.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. All right, let's take it one step at a time. Okay, public comment on this joint committee not supporting security cameras. Okay, board comment on this joint committee not supporting security cameras. Carl.
I really think that security cameras are an important asset on the boardwalk and a deterrent to criminal activity. I've seen it firsthand. As soon as there's a crime, and we have security cameras on one of my buildings, and it picked up a murder on the boardwalk where a vendor shot another vendor. And there have been other instances on the boardwalk, and when the crazy guy was driving down there, again, we had video of people flying off the hood of his car, which was marginally helpful. But the more cameras, the better for deterrent. And it's not used for Big Brother. Trust me, the cops only come back and look at it forensically. They don't go out and do searches for people. I listen to you.
Savon, would you like to amend your motion to state the difference between private and public security cameras?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean,
All right.
private use of cameras is already in place. They have the entire boardwalk blanketed.
You've answered the question.
That's it.
Okay, any other comments on the use of security cameras on the boardwalk? Gail?
Yeah, you don't need, this is not pre-rod leaking area, you don't need them, everyone look, if there's enough people whipping out their iPhones, and, they love taking videos.
Any other comments on
Yeah, I
security
mean-
cameras on the boardwalk? Melissa?
Yeah, I manage a property on Oceanfront Walk, and because we have constant problems, I'm having to pay for them and have them installed because we have so many problems with people trying to break in. So it's just passing it on to the private owners if we don't support it.
Daniel?
And, no, I'm fine.
Isn't it weird how identification brings crime? Because the shit that you think is so important, the other people think wants it. Identification brings crime. That's what I would like to tell you.
I'm going to just read what's written here just one more time, just so it's really clear. Rec and Park is still obtaining information on the issues associated with cameras and public address system. We are in communication with the Information Technology Agency, the ITA, regarding the infrastructure needed to handle the data for the cameras. We have met and discussed the system and its use with LAPD, and are currently engaged with a city vendor to determine the specifications LAPD is requesting. We anticipate being able to finalize the system specifications with ITA and LAPD within the next 2 weeks. Melissa, read the motion one more time, please.
The Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommends not to support security cameras
All in favor of the motion as written?
on Oceanfront Walk.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Sorry, I'm not voting.
Wait,
in
1,
favor.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. 7.
All opposed?
2, 3.
Okay.
Abstaining?
Abstain? 0.
7.
7 to 3. Public address system. Would somebody like to make a motion about the public address system?
Yes.
Great.
This is the second part, or the second motion. The joint committees recommend that the PNC support the use of a public address system on Oceanfront Walk exclusively for emergency and evacuation information.
For emergency use only. Any public comment in that regard? Go ahead.
Sounds great to me. As far as the threat of tsunamis to Venice, they are literally nothing. The only place you could have a tsunami that would hit Venice would be between Catalina and the beach. If that happens, it will happen so fast you won't even have time to get to a microphone. Those things move hundreds of miles an hour. We're protected by Point Conception to the north, Channel Islands offshore, Catalina. So as far as tsunami warning, don't even worry about it. It's great to keep yuppies out, but it's not working. So there you go.
Any other public comments regarding public address system?
And if it's not for tsunami warnings, what would it be for? So I think it's a waste of money.
Earthquakes.
The boardwalks closed, and then will be closed, they remain.
I don't know what would be the actual usefulness of the
Crowd
for
control.
tsunami. I mean, if there's an earthquake, people are going to know about that.
Any board comments regarding the use of a public address system?
Yes. There are pre-detection softwares and devices used now for earthquakes. We have about, on average, a 60-second head start prior to the actual earthquake in a particular type of earthquake, which is the more common one for our region. Universities and other governmental organizations track these things. They have automated systems that immediately send the information out to universities, to other resources. That information gets out and can be automated through this public address system. So if the trigger is tripped, that information can be released. If LAPD has information about a particular suspicious package or something like that, that they have enough information on to know that there, is a potential threat. Like there was a pipe bomb on the boardwalk about a year ago or so. They can provide the information to the public to tell them to evacuate from this street to this street, or keep people away. Or if you have some other event that occurs and you need people to evacuate in one direction or the other, you can guide the public saying everybody needs to go north or everybody needs to go south.
Could they use it for like child abductions too, or like missing kids, or for other maybe more positive announcements, like there's a festival going on in Woodward Plaza?
I don't think, no, that's, yeah.
I'm just asking.
No, I just,
Thanks for immediate loading and unloading on the.
Daniel, did you have a public comment, please, regarding that area?
It's a public space, we're obligated to be able to tell people if there's a problem. I think it makes sense, we beg to have it, if there is a bomb or this or that, and tell people to get away from this area, than not to have it, not be able to tell people.
Thank you. Melissa, will you read the motion again, please?
Sure. The Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommend to the VNT to support the use of a public address system for use in emergency and evacuation purposes only.
All in favor of the motion, raise your hand and say aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All opposed?
1, 2, 3.
7-3. The last and final episode of the assessment is lighting upgrades. This has been something that's been discussed quite heavily. I'm going to read it. Per LAPD's request, Recreation Park staff is evaluating the expansion of the existing LED lighting along Oceanfront Walk and will report back on possible upgrades. In conclusion, many of the recommendations included herein can be accomplished in a variety of ways. We are looking forward to working with the community, mayor, and the city council and various city departments and offices on finalizing a plan that provides a safe public venue for one of the busiest tourist attractions in Southern California. LAPD, LAFD, LADOT, and Department of Public Works staff concur with the preliminary findings and recommendations contained in this report. If you have any questions, please contact, etc. Are there any public comments regarding lighting upgrades? Go ahead.
I think this is the most positive part about any of this. I think this is the most useful. I think it's the most cost effective. I think it does the most good for I guess for the cost, yeah, and for the trouble. And I think it's the least intrusive of any of these things. I think the money would be well used there, whereas all this other stuff, I don't think the money will be well used at all. We need to really focus on the money that they're giving us, because they're not going to give us a lot. So let's use it cost effectively. Let's put in what works the best, and that is the lighting. Let's concentrate on that. And I think if we rank things in what we need, we want the city to spend the money on, I think we should do that, as well as the different things. We should rank what we want first and second and third, and I think lighting should be way and far above and beyond the rest.
I agree with her. Lighting is cost effective. I think the real need for lighting in the area right now is in fact on the actual bike path. If you go down the beach in Santa Monica, right by Station 26 there or whatever, there's a long stretch where the bike path is well lit and it's great, and then you come to Venice and the bike path makes a zigzag, and all of a sudden there's sand drifts waiting for you in the dark, all sorts of stupid crap. Right. So the point is that the bike path and the park area should be better lit. Particularly, it seems like the boardwalk itself, I don't know how you couldn't see something there right now. It's pretty damn well lit. So it's the surrounding areas that need better lighting more than that. And also, as far as the money goes, they haven't promised anything really. The reality is they want to spend money on things they want to spend money on. They want to spend money on cameras because that's part of the master plan, that we'll all be on camera 24 hours a day. There's a difference between public and private cameras, and I think you guys need to think about that before you start connecting this up to the internet for everyone to watch, or people have affairs, whatever. There's all sorts of privacy reasons why you don't want your picture on TV constantly. And as far as the rest of the money goes, they're like, we haven't figured out where the money's going to come from to pay for the upkeep of all these things. So the reality is it's a higher figure than what they said if they were to actually go through with that, and they know that, where they should. So what we need to do is get this money put into a trust fund and spend it on what Venice really needs and not what Venice, certain small elements want.
Okay, from the board, regarding lighting upgrades, I'll lead off the comments. One of the biggest contentions that the feedback that I get on lighting on the boardwalk is from the people who live and work on the boardwalk at night, who feel that the lighting is very intrusive. That's the counter argument. I can imagine that if I had my bedroom on Oceanfront Walk and there was a light blasting in my window all night every night, that would be difficult. Having said that, there is all kinds of, I haven't been in the film industry for a very long time, there's all kinds of shading and there's all kinds of ways to direct light so that it illuminates the boardwalk and doesn't have to illuminate people's private homes and businesses immediately adjacent to the boardwalk. The second observation that I have after living here for over 20 years is that what happened just last Sunday, which is that daylight savings hit, everything shuts down now at 5 o'clock. This is a real opportunity, now that we've got these warm evenings where the boardwalk can be a really nice place to walk and bike and visit instead of, you know, a dark and scary place. So I agree with the sentiments that lighting is imperative to make it a welcoming place to be and really start to invite a nightlife. Councilman Bonham himself said that when he walked down the boardwalk, he didn't feel threatened. At the same time, he didn't feel very welcomed or very comfortable, I think was the word that he used. So, you know, I strongly support lighting. I strongly support use of solar and use of LED being incredibly more cost-efficient, environmentally sound, and I hope that we all move to make a motion in favor of better lighting on Oceanfront Walk, and that's where a good chunk of the money goes. Anybody else want to comment on lighting on Oceanfront Walk? On the board?
I'll just make one comment that lighting, I think, is the number one thing. It's the reason I stay here. We already proved it was safe when we expanded it earlier on. We should expand it. Frankly, it should be on the bike and Speedway wouldn't be bad. The LEDs are more directional. They don't go into people's houses as much as the old ones used to do. I propose that, so anyways, we should support this. I would propose saying we support expansion of lighting on the boardwalk and even bike paths and Speedway for safety.
Can you say that one more time? Because that's a good start for the motion.
It's expansion of the I support the expansion of lighting not only on the boardwalk but on bike paths and Speedway for safety.
Second.
Well, Carl,
No, that's the cat drag.
Okay, I'm sorry, my brain, I'm just,
Okay.
Yeah.
one more time.
Basically, it's along Oceanfront Walk as well as the bike path and speed.
Okay.
Just make that inclusive and direct.
Let me, I'll get out of here. The Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommend the BNC support the expansion of lighting on Oceanfront Walk, the bike path, and Speedway.
How about,
if we're all in agreement that this is the priority,
Yeah.
is there a way to put wording in
Yeah.
that says, like,
In this order?
somehow that this is really a priority in relation to some of the other things? If we,
And that we consider this the number one priority?
yeah,
strongly
Make
supports.
this a priority.
number one priority, and the community strongly prioritizes.
Strongly supports.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, aspects.
And urges.
And I would like to add the language LED and solar lighting.
Oceanfront Walk Committee, Public Safety Committee, and Visitor Impact Committee recommend that the BNC make the number one priority of the safety assessment and vastly expand lighting on Oceanfront Walk, the bike path, and Speedway using green technology, LED, or solar as
And
much
solar.
as possible.
No, just put a period.
We already got it as much as possible.
When possible.
And solar.
No, just,
It's
Just
possible.
and solar period.
Okay.
Anybody second the motion?
Second it, or let's go.
Okay, you got a second. Okay, let's vote on the motion. All in favor of the lighting motion on the boardwalk?
Three,
Oh, I'm in favor.
And Speedway?
Me, 9. What would you do?
All those opposed to lighting the boardwalk?
And the bike path.
All those abstain?
one abstention.
One abstain, 9 to 1. Okay, so, what I'd like to do, because everybody's got to go, and we didn't get it, we got through a major hurdle tonight. We got through this assessment.